Today we're going to talk about how colleges read your SAT and ACT scores. Alexis Avila here at Prepped and Polished in Wellesley, Massachusetts. For questions or tutoring in person or online, visit preppedandpolished.com or call us 781-753-9951. And remember, if you find value watching this video, smash that like button and click the subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications for future videos. Thank you. Now today we are going to talk about how colleges read your ACT and SAT score reports. Now just a heads up, but today we are just looking at how schools can read them, not the explicit step-by-step analysis of the reports and how schools can determine if they're going to accept you or not. Now first thing you want to think about is when you're looking at your schools and colleges that you're applying to is identify if they require the test or if they are test optional. Now if the school is test optional, they might say you are more than welcome to send in your scores, but you don't have to. Now other schools require the ACT or the SAT, so consider that when you're applying to a school to check to see if they require a test, because if they don't, you might not necessarily have to take it. However, if you find yourself to be a really good and strong test taker, it might be to your advantage to do so. Another thing to consider is do they accept one score or do they accept multiple scores? Again, some colleges will read the ACT and just look at one score individually, and that's it. Other schools will accept multiple scores, and sometimes they like to see a trend. Obviously an upward trend is best, but they usually will see what was a common value among each section score. For example, was your math score good consistently, or did you have one really good score and the rest not so good? This also leads to the next point about superscoring. Now some schools will take multiple ACTs or multiple SATs and take the best section score from each test respectively, and that's how they read your SAT or ACT score. Some schools would just take all the tests and they weigh them all the same. That's also something to consider. Overall, I highly recommend that you check with each college's unique test prep policy. Now, if colleges are looking at the test scores, and let's say we are under the assumption that they accept either one test score or multiple test scores and they require you to take the test, they are going to look at each section individually. For the ACT, they're going to look at your English, your math, your reading, your science score. For the SAT, they're going to look at your critical reading and writing score and your math score. Also for the SAT, they might look at your individual reading and writing language subscore, as well as the cross-test section scores. For the ACT, that's your ELA or your STEM score. Each school might also consider how each test is scored both together in terms of multiple tests or individually. As I mentioned before, if this is the case, they're going to take a look at when you took the test, how you did, and if that's the only test, was it a good test? Was it a strong test? One other point about ELA or STEM scores for either the ACT or the SAT respectively is that some schools place more emphasis on one of these scores over the other. For example, let's say for engineering, it's more than likely that the school will look at your STEM scores more critically than your ELA scores. The reverse is true if you are applying to, let's say a journalism school. Or it might be that a particular school cares more about a holistic score more so than one particular score. So again, this leads to my final point that we always tell our students to check the school's website or get in touch with someone at the school or the admissions department to get your specific questions addressed. Now, if you're looking on third-party websites, you have to be mindful that they might not necessarily be up to date, so it's best to go straight to the source. Now, if you have any questions about how colleges may interpret your SAT and ACT scores, visit our website, preppedandpolished.com, and we're happy to help you. Good luck on your test, and I'll talk to you soon.